All right, good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Lunenburg Select Board. Today is Tuesday, July 1st. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel, on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of these discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. We're going to begin tonight with announcements, and I have a couple. The Lunenburg Historical Society will be holding a book launch and author signing for the new book, Images of America, Whalum Park, tomorrow, Wednesday, July 3rd, from 1 to 3 p.m., and then again at 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. at the Lunenburg Public Library. If you can't attend, the book is available through the Historical Society, local bookstores, pharmacies, and superstores. The Lunenburg Town Band concerts are starting up again. The first one is next Monday, July 7th, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at TC Passios. This year's program will include patriotic music, marches, musicals, folk songs, jazz, and music from our armed services. Due to a wonderful donation from a Lunenburg music lover, the band will be premiering over 12 new arrangements during the course of the season this year. And lastly, the town beach is now open. To purchase a pass, you can visit the town website or go directly to the park's website at lunenburgma.myrec.com. Any other announcements tonight? All right. So scheduled meetings. Up first, we have an application for a special event license for the Shrieks and Creeks Haunted House and Hayride Festival. So I'm going to invite up Michelle Beliza, the executive director of the club, the Lunenburg Teen Center, to talk about this event. This, unfortunately, because of our kind of cumbersome special event policy, we still need to post a public hearing, so we can't make a determination tonight, but we can ask any questions, and you have an opportunity to talk to us and the community about the event.
Beliza, I'm the director of the club, and I brought with me Lisa Gambardella. She's our board chair, and Jeremy Martin, he's our treasurer. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and some of you I haven't met, so thank you for having us tonight.
Any questions for the board?
Any changes from the normal Shrieks and Creeks?
The only thing we're doing a little differently this year is we're starting a little bit earlier and adding like a fall festival family style thing, not so scary, pumpkin decorating and maybe trick-or-treating through the haunted house instead of scary haunted house. So that's it. We'll start at 4:30 instead of 6:30.
Good.
Oh, that's a nice addition.
Yeah,
I come every year. My kids have always loved it.
Yep. There's lots of littles that come, and it's very hard to manage if you have some littles that want to go in the haunted house and some big kids. So this way, the littles have some time, and then the big kids have some time.
So through you, Mr. Chairman, if there's any things that board members would want answered before the public hearing, if you want to let me know, and we can get that sorted out if anything comes to your mind. That way, we're all set for the public hearing when that's posted.
Have you run into any issues getting all the approvals and everything? Is it just like the abutters list notifying them for the public hearing now?
Yep, so that's a little bit different for us this year.
Yeah.
We didn't do that last year, but I did, I've communicated with police, fire, DPW, all of the usual suspects, right? And everybody is in approval and happy to help, and so I submitted you guys the abutters list today.
Yep.
Okay, so we could probably post that for 2 weeks from now, right? The 15th, because it's 10 days.
I don't think with the ledger
Oh,
that
right,
we're going to
that's
make
right.
the deadline, but so I can check, but it'll either be the meeting of the 17th or the first meeting in August, based on the ledger's
Okay.
posting.
Okay. Well, we have a lot of time still,
Yes.
so that's okay.
Awesome, and if you have any questions.
What year is this?
This is our 9th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And you'll all have a letter in your mailbox. We're celebrating 20 years this summer, so our birthday party is at the end of this month, July 31st. We would love for you to come see the club, hear from the kids. It's only here because you guys support it, so thank you.
All right, any other
you.
questions? All right, so unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to have you back
That's
again for
okay.
the actual public
That's
hearing, but
okay.
it looks like everything's in order, so once
Awesome.
we actually post it, it'll be
Thank
all
you.
set. So,
Excellent.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming in
You're
tonight.
welcome.
Thank you for all the work that you guys do.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, of course. Have a
All
good
right.
night. It's nice seeing you.
Good night.
Thanks, you too.
All right, up next, we have a joint meeting with the Planning Board to consider the appointment of Adam Burney to the Planning Board. So I will invite the three of you up. There are microphones on the table, and they're green, so it looks like they should be all set to go. And I will ask the chair to call the Planning Board to order.
Purely a procedural question, because I haven't opened at someone else's meeting before. I actually don't have to do the rigmarole about being
No.
recorded and just call
No,
it to
no.
order now, right?
Right.
Good news, we're called to order.
All right, fantastic. Just a note, I think we all know this, but also for the public, Adam Burney was not available to be here tonight. I am making the assumption that he is well-known in the community and by us well enough to still be considered for appointment. But I'll just pass it off to you guys if, you want to speak to Adam Burney or anything like that.
I would call attention to a sentence from Mr. Burney's volunteer to serve form. I consider myself reasonably familiar with zoning, permitting, municipal operations, and other relevant topics. I thought it was important to share the absolute understatement of the year. For those in the public who may not know, Mr. Burney was the town's planner and land use director for 8-ish years. So he has served the board in the role of the employee that supports them for a long time. He has been gone for a couple years, but he is a resident of the town and has volunteered, if we are willing, to be appointed to the planning board. He does not intend to serve beyond May. He would, there's not an intent to run for office, but he would be an absolute asset as we head in for MBTA communities and everything else we have in the pipeline.
Great. Any questions or comments from the select board?
I don't have any questions other than my comment is just thank you to Adam. Looking forward to, if we support this, to have him back in town. Known him for a long time, so looking forward to having him. I think, again, like Matt said, he's a really valuable resource, so.
Planning board, do you have anything else to share? I didn't want to steal anyone's thunder.
Yeah, you covered it all.
Okay,
Great.
great.
Anything else? Go ahead, Glenn.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank him for stepping forward. I mean, it is akin to a bus driver electing to drive a bus as his personal vehicle. But we are very fortunate to have Mr. Burney step forward and share his experience in planning, and as well as his information and knowledge of town. And I do think it's important to stress that, you don't need the level of experience that Mr. Burney is bringing to the board, and just as a message to the public. It's, it was a silver lining if he's not, intending to go beyond May. It's just important to put it out to the public that, myself in particular are in the opinion that it's nice to have somebody on the board that has a lot to learn, and that's essentially the role I had there for a year on the planning board. And I'm almost brought to tears seeing you guys out there that I'm no longer with the board. Well, not really, but, but it's truly a very important board, arguably, one of the most important boards in town. And it is a well-run board and is in desperate need of, members to help out. And again, I think that's just a point that, citizens with a particular interest or a desire to serve in their, participate in their local government. There's no better way than to volunteer for any board, really. But just tonight, a specific example of the planning board and the reach and impact that board has. It's just very important that people not be intimidated by the fact, how incredibly fortunate we are for him to step forward with this experience.
And I just want to echo comments that have been stated already, that to thank Adam, first of all, for volunteering, and secondly, how lucky we are to have someone in town with this level of experience and knowledge. Incredible value, I think, to the board for the next year.
I am very grateful that when I called him to say, Adam, do you know anyone who might be a good fit for the board? He said, well, I have been talking to my wife. Like,
She wants to
I
volunteer
did not
too?
dare hope for that. But wonderful. Great. So,
All right, awesome. So I can make the motion, just procedurally how we'll do this. We're all going to vote. So I'll do it by roll call vote for the select board, and then you can do roll call vote for your board.
sure.
Oh, sorry. All right, I move to appoint Adam Burney to the planning board, term to expire at the next annual town election.
I'll second that motion.
All right, any more discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Mr. McLeod?
Aye.
Mr. Leighton?
Aye.
Ms. Emke?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
And an aye for myself.
Ms. Reed?
Aye.
Mr. Wilsmer?
Aye.
And an aye from myself.
Fantastic. All right, the motion passes unanimously.
Great.
Can you remind him to get sworn in?
I will do that.
And if he watches this, thank you, Adam.
Yeah, of course.
Yep.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, before we adjourn the joint meeting, the planning board's plant on the select board in our attempt to take over town government, since he was going to report to you later on our decision for MBTA communities, he
Yeah.
asked if I would be willing just to share the direction the planning board chose for that. I could share that now, or he could share it later in the meeting if you'd like.
Later in the meeting?
Okay,
Communication from other boards.
Oh, yeah, we can do it during communications from other boards, just so it's, during a proper agenda item.
that's fine.
But we'll be
Then
there in a couple minutes.
That's all you, sir. Unless I can hang out too if you want, that's fine. Okay.
Great.
Great.
All right,
Thank
so
you.
do you want to adjourn your meeting now?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
Moved and seconded. We don't have to roll call, correct, here?
No.
No. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
All right, great. It was
Thank
good
you.
seeing you guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.
It'll just be like 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
10 minutes.
not that long.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, moving on to public comment. Are there any public comments from the board this evening?
Nope.
Any public comments from the public? Mr. Bowen, Senior. You're muted. You need to unmute yourself.
Yes, how are you? John Bowen, 162 Highland Street. Hope everybody is doing well. I just wanted to make a quick comment about Adam Burney. I think it was an excellent choice. Adam has assisted with myself and my wife with regard to a number of different issues here in town, and I think that he's fully qualified. And I think that the Select Board and the Planning Board made the right choice with appointing Adam Burney for the next year, even though he's not going to run for office. I think he brings a lot of information from his experience to the town, and I think that it's extremely important that we have that in town because we have a tendency in town to do things by custom as opposed to by law, and Adam Burney has always executed things lawfully within town, and I just wanted to mention. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowen, Senior. And now on to Mr. Bowen, Junior.
Hi, everybody. I would be there.
They're too confused.
You're going to have to, one of you is going to have to unmute your computer if you're, go ahead, keep going.
Apologize about that. So I would be there in person, but when I was about to leave, it started pouring. So I'm online now. So my name is John Bowen Jr., 162 Highland Street. Since moving to Lunenburg, I've had the privilege and honor of getting to know one of the town's employees on a personal level. Not everyone. Sorry, one moment. There's still some echo.
I think they need to turn the other computer off at the home if they're together. There's just getting.
If you
away.
guys
Yeah, we
have
can't hear
two
you.
devices next to each other, you're going to have to either turn one off or unmute it or something.
Is it good now?
Probably turn down the volume on one of them.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that. My name is John Bowen Jr., 162 Highland Street. Since moving to Lunenburg, I've had the privilege and honor of getting to know one of the town's employees on a personal level. Not everyone is as fortunate enough to know this individual as I do. He is not only deeply committed and highly skilled in his work, he is also a genuinely good man. The person I am speaking about is Todd Holman. Over time, I've come to see firsthand his dedication, integrity, and professionalism in his role as cemetery superintendent. Unfortunately, I've also witnessed an ongoing pattern of criticism directed at him, like comments suggesting that his work isn't up to par, and efforts by certain individuals, both past and present members of boards and commissions, to undermine his reputation by attacking his character. These comments have been circulating for nearly a year since I've lived in Lunenburg, and they are not only unfair, they are unfounded. Todd Holman has consistently provided exceptional service to this town. He deserves recognition and respect, not unfounded scrutiny. These attacks on Todd Holman have gone unchecked for far too long, and I have to step forward. Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Bowen Jr. Are there any other public comments? All right. Seeing none, communications from other boards. So, Mr. Brenner, I'll invite you back up.
Good evening. I am Matthew Brenner, Chair of the Select Board. And since I was here tonight,
Planning board.
wow. No, 2 years.
Watching out for you
I am
now.
glad you all enjoy your role in town. I enjoy mine. I am happy to keep those streams separate. Boy, howdy. Chair of the Planning Board. Since I was here tonight, Mr. McLeod asked if I would be willing to tell you where the Planning Board landed on MBTA communities. We did have 2 public information / discussion sessions with the community, and what was unsurprising to me, but good to hear, was the community is really kind of aligned along the idea of what's commonly called paper compliance. Now, as our contractor that we've hired has pointed out, another term for paper compliance in this case is Lunenburg was the first town municipality in the state to do a 40R district. So, a smart growth district. We have traditionally been ahead of the curve in forward-looking in terms of things like housing. So paper compliance, the state lets you do it, and in this case, I mean, by intention, and this is taking credit for work we've already done. This is us saying, hey, that MBTA communities thing you want, we kind of actually did that like over 10 years ago. So we're good. The planning board voted to instruct our contractor, because they're the ones who will write the bylaw that will come back to us and get it passed through the state and everything else and checked. Basically, it's just bumping up the zoning at Tri-Town from 22 units per acre to 26 units per acre. That should have, until those buildings are so old that they can't stand and would get replaced, which is not, I mean, you're talking 30 years or whatever, right? There's not any reason that would change things. And then in 30 years, we're going to be living in a different municipality for all intents and purposes. And even then, the change is minor and might not even be used at all. So it's really a great option for us. And what that does is that frees us up, and there was support amongst the citizenry I spoke with, to be aware that this frees us up to continue to be forward-thinking about housing. Because we've had a couple instances now in the past year where us being forward-thinking has kind of saved our keisters, where the state comes down from on high saying, you need to do this, and we go, oh, we're already 90% of the way there. Towns that haven't been forward-thinking have faced really much more stark changes, not at and not necessarily at a time or in a way that's best for them. So there was interest from the town in leveraging this, not to say good enough, no change, but to be aware we do need to keep looking forward so that we aren't caught unawares in a year, 2, 5, or 10. But that's where we're going with MBTA Communities. I'm still working on a couple paperwork back-end things with the contractor, but they will come back to the planning board in fall with a finished, approved bylaw. We'll hold our public hearings, and it should be on special town meeting, if you're willing to put it there.
Yeah, great. And thank you for holding the public information sessions. I think those were probably particularly helpful. I think probably the biggest misconception about the MBTA Communities Act is that people think that compliance means new development, right? But it doesn't necessarily mean new development. So yeah, I think educating people about that might make it a little easier for people.
I certainly hope so, and
Yeah.
then we'll have to think about what we'll be doing next. But now that master plan is up and running full steam, hopefully we'll have answers on that too shortly.
Yeah, and that was a great meeting that we had
Was,
last
right? I was
glad
excited.
I attended that.
Great. Thank you so much for your
All right,
time
so
tonight.
we'll just see if any questions about the MBTA communities.
Yeah, I don't know if it was mentioned, but that information session is on YouTube, so it can be viewed.
Yes, it is on YouTube. If someone really wants if someone can't see the PowerPoint well there and wants me to send it to them, drop me an email, and I will happily send that over to you so you can follow along on the PowerPoint at home if that's your choice.
Maybe we could get that on the website?
On the PowerPoint?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm happy for it to be on the website. It is better with narration because I don't design slides to be,
Yeah, without it, yeah.
but I do think it's still probably worthwhile and helpful.
Maybe we can have a link to the YouTube video with it.
Great. Sure. I will happily send that on over.
Awesome.
Great.
Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, well, thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right, appointments, ratifications, and resignations. Let's just do the ratification of the town manager's appointment of Kara McCarthy, Communications and IT Manager, effective July 2nd, 2025 first.
So, a lot of folks know Kara. She's been serving the town for, I think, a better part of a year now. And so this is the position that she started as part-time, was expanded over time, but this is the position that we created at the town meeting, and now she is filling it, hopefully.
Awesome. Any questions for the town manager? Nope. All right, well, this is exciting. Kara is awesome. She does great work, so it's, great to see her taking on this role. So I will move to ratify the town manager's appointment of Kara McCarthy as the Communications and IT Manager effective July 2nd, 2025.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. All right, just giving Amanda some time to come back to. Okay, so we'll move on to our annual select board appointments, and we only have one interview tonight. So we do have Tiffany Warren, who is with us tonight on Zoom, and she is seeking appointment to the Cultural Council. So, hi, Tiffany. Can we hear you?
Hello.
All right, great. We can hear you. So I'll just
Hi.
pass it off to you and give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, talk about your background, and let us know why you're interested in serving on the Cultural Council.
Awesome, thank you. So I heard about the Cultural Council from my daughter is in kindergarten in Lunenburg, and I heard about it from one of the other parents and thought that it sounded like a good way for me to get involved in the town. I grew up in Lunenburg and then went to college in Boston, and then bought a house with my husband in Lunenburg. I'm at 707 Lancaster. In 2013, and now we have 2 kids in the schools, a preschooler and a kindergartner, and I am a graphic designer and worked as a graphic designer in corporate America for about 10 years, so definitely interested and very interested in the arts, and wanted to find a way to be more involved in the town as a whole. I'm a Girl Scout leader in town, and really loved the way that that's connected me to the community. So I was looking for ways to be a part of the town, and I thought the cultural council would be a great way to do that. And I was able to meet Elise and attend one of their meetings a couple weeks ago. And it sounded a great way, like, organizations in town that I'm already, utilizing with my family, things like the Lunenburg Library and the Boys and Girls Club and the Senior Center, and how do we get them more involved in what the Cultural Council does. So yeah, I thought it would be a good fit and a good way for me to, now that my kids are sort of in the school system and I'm out and about in town more, get involved.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Tiffany. And I see that you went to Northeastern University. Is that true? Cool. I am also a Husky. Not that that's going to influence my decision tonight, but it sounds like you'd be a great fit. So I'll open it up to the other board members for any questions or comments.
I also have a connection with Tiffany. We graduated high school together.
Oh.
Good to see you again. And thank you for volunteering. But I don't have any other questions. It's always great to see more people getting involved, especially from our generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tiffany, I also want to thank you for volunteering, and you answered the question I was going to ask you, if you met with anyone from the council or attended any meetings, so thank you for doing that in advance. That's great, and yeah, thanks again.
Yeah, I would also thank you for volunteering as well as attending the meeting, and I think you bring a unique perspective that will help the committee as well. Thank you.
And yes, thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you so much. I went to the meeting and I met Elise, and then within this, like a week later maybe, she was at the playground with her son who's also in preschool, and I was like, yeah, we are all we're all in this together. So it was nice to make those connections.
Great. Well, thank you, Tiffany, for your interest in volunteering for the town. It really seems like you'd be a great fit. So with that, I will move to appoint Tiffany Warren to the Cultural Council, term to expire June 30th, 2028.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. All right, congratulations, Tiffany. Just go to the town clerk's office and town hall to get sworn in, and then just talk to Elise and she can help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good night, Tiffany. Thank you.
You too. Bye.
All right, town manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the first is a good announcement. So thanks to the entire legislative delegation for championing $300,000 to the Lunenburg Public Schools in a supplemental budget bill. Of the funding, $195,000 is earmarked for the purchase of 2 transportation vans. The thought here is that the athletic costs can be reduced by the purchase of those vans. $55,000 for infrastructure upgrades, and $50,000 for educational materials. That is a huge sum of money coming through a supplemental budget, so thank you for the advocacy at the State House by our legislative leaders. On June 25th, damage was observed to the fence and play structure at Wallace Park due to a motor vehicle accident. A claim has been filed with our insurance company, and the adjuster had been out to view the damage. The damage is presently estimated at approximately $18,000. Through action at the 2024 special town meeting, the MART Connect program was funded through June 30th, 2025. This funding was not carried forward through fiscal year 2026, and the program ceases on June 30th. So this is they had lost grant funding, and the town stepped up to support that program. And this is not something that was carried forward in this year's budget. Flat Hill Road Bridge, through council, the town has made some forward progress with Kennebec, the vendor. I hope to have more of an update on July 17th, but they are talking, they are at the table. We have a good date for completion of the project, and there does seem to be some agreement to temporarily reopen the bridge in the meantime. There's just a few more issues that we need to sort through with them in order to make this work. PJ Keating paved a small section of Reservoir Road this week and completed driveway aprons on Milpas Road and Eastern Avenue. Ice Cream Social is being planned for staff next week to celebrate the start of a new fiscal year, summer, and also to use the opportunity to engage with staff on various initiatives that we're working on and to seek their feedback during that time. So we're going to be closing for 1 hour, I'm thinking, on Wednesday. TBD, have to work it out with Cherry Hill. Town offices will be closed, though, this Friday in recognition of 4th of July, and wishing all residents a happy but safe 4th of July. Project updates. The town is posting a IFB for guardrail replacement on Lancaster Ave on July 9th. Those will be due July 24th. Anybody that's been around our municipal buildings might have noticed that they're not as clean as they typically are, and that's because we're in between cleaning vendors. We had terminated the contract with the vendor that was awarded the bid, and we just got a temp in this week, but the bids are due back July 14th, and we cannot wait to have a permanent contractor under agreement again. TC Passios decommissioning. The school department has been actively vacating the TC Passios building, and the staff offices have all been relocated. Our town staff is now working on organizing and purging the old files, and upgrades to the internet are underway to support the relocation of PAC from where they were to where they're going. Current vacancies, we have a dietary aid position of 9 hours per week that's been posted for a while. The other person that is in that dietary aid role is out right now, so we've posted a temporary position as well. We've posted a temporary meal site worker at 36 hours to cover a staff outage there. I think the board is aware, but the public is not, perhaps, that the planning assistant, Logan O'Connell, was hired to serve in the executive assistant to the select board and town manager role. His start date was supposed to be today. We were first backfilling his position, which Jennifer Daigle started today, and we're very grateful that that position has been filled, but Logan has decided to seek work in the private sector. So we now need to repost this position. This sets the office back substantially. We have an equipment operator posted, vacancy coming up there due to, I don't have the date of it yet, so I don't have a resignation date yet, but we're posting it in advance. Somebody's leaving for MassDOT. And the land use director, I sent the board separate email about that, but Labor Council should be weighing in on that position so we can get that posted. And the conservation administrator position, there will be a vacancy in that as of next week. We had an interim conservation agent in, and she is willing to continue to stay on as interim while we sort out next steps. So I don't have any concerns whatsoever about that position. Board and committee vacancies. So now that we've gone through a lot of interviewing folks, I'm going to start just kind of regularly reporting on what's still out there. So, Agricultural Commission, 1 vacancy. Architectural Preservation District Commission, 1. Cultural Council, 2. Green Communities, 2. Historical Commission, 1. Personnel Board, 5. PAC, 1. Stormwater Task Force, 1. And ZBA Associate, 1. And that concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the town manager?
I have 2. The Flat Hill Road Bridge.
Yes.
That was inspected and couldn't reopen because it didn't pass them. So are the repairs required to reopen at all?
So it's not that it couldn't reopen. It's that MassDOT, if it was their decision to make, would not reopen it. They strongly suggested that the town not reopen it.
Okay.
So in the conversations that we're having are about shifting the liability if it's reopened to the vendor. And putting a plate.
Okay, I was going to ask if any work was going to be done
plate.
before reopen,
Yeah.
just temporary?
Yeah.
Okay. The other question is about the executive assistant to town manager and select
Yes.
board. Are you posting a temp position as well for that?
So I reached out to a temp vendor
Okay.
already, and I got a quote back that is substantial, $80 an hour for the work. Bit of sticker shock, need to rethink that.
Is it, yeah, okay.
I will say this, the minute writers, I'm gonna at least keep 1, if not 2, on to keep us current and keep chipping away at that backlog.
Did your mic just go off?
I touched it.
Oh, it sounds different now.
I know
Okay.
it does. I heard it too.
Yeah, okay.
Let me touch it again. Yeah, it does sound quieter in here. Yeah, I think that $80 an hour is a bit difficult
even if it's not 36, is there some middle ground?
I think $80 an hour
It's
is
just a,
That's a lot.
no.
is difficult. So I think, you know, that it's going to be a challenge. We're going to post it a little bit differently. This is a position that was always able to be contracted prior to the change. I'm going to post the ad that for the right candidate, contract might be available, which maybe that will change things.
Any other questions?
I have a general question about the guardrail on Lancaster Ave. Is that where all guardrail is, or is it just a section? It's okay if you don't know, I can also look at it, but.
Yeah, it's not posted yet, but I can pull up. I'll send you it.
That was just a
Yeah.
curiosity
I don't think it's the
thing.
whole, so it's only a day of work, so I can't imagine that it's.
Okay, so it's a section.
Yeah, I can't imagine that it's the entire guardrail.
All right, thank you very much. All right, moving on to new business. So at first, we have method of adding select board signatures for licenses and permits for OpenGov software. As we move all of our licensing and permitting over to OpenGov, there's a decision that we have to make on how we want to handle adding our signatures to things. And Jen, I will have you just sort of talk through the options here that we have.
Sure. So the first option that we have is what we have been doing, is that after there's a vote of the board, we'll go into the OpenGov system and print out something that you will all physically sign. I don't suggest that option, but it's certainly an option. So the other options are that after the action is taken by the board members can go in and affirmatively affix their signature through OpenGov system, or staff can, after the vote, indicate to the system that the vote had been taken in the affirmative, and then that would automatically affix those signatures. So it's really, do you want the staff to affix your signatures after the vote, or do you want to be going in proactively and ensuring that your signature only goes on a permit or license that you put it on?
So one question that I have about that last option, is it just going to put all 5 of our signatures on regardless of maybe how a vote happens?
No, I
or-
think that there's a way that you can set it
Yeah.
so it's just who voted.
Okay. Well, I prefer that method. What do other board members think?
Which method?
That last one?
Having the staff do it?
Yes.
I just was making sure I was on the
Okay,
same page.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as we're ensuring accuracy with,
Yeah.
when we do have a new staff member, I'm fine with it
Mm-hmm.
as well.
I am too. Is there a way to check?
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
there's, okay.
Yep. You mean check in advance? Or check?
No, just that, you know,
Yeah.
if 3 of us were here, that only 3.
Yes, yes.
I'm okay with it.
Yep, fine.
Seems the easiest way to handle it, right? I don't think we should be doing wet signatures anymore. And I just don't want to do DocuSign, so. Do you want us to vote on this?
I do.
Okay. I will move for the select board to authorize staff to record votes in OpenGov for our licensing and permitting.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, before you go on to the next, I do have the answer to Ms. Moore's question.
Oh, okay.
It is 160 to 196 Lancaster.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, old business, FY 2026 Select Board and Town Manager Goal Setting. So the Town Manager did do some revisions, nothing too substantial to hers, so we can review those first. And do you want to just talk through them once we pull it up?
Sure. So that is, let me see.
Goals and objectives, and then it's in your memo. So if you
Yeah.
open up 6/28/25 memo to the Select Board, I think it's in this one, right? Yes.
So basically, anything that's in red or struck out. But this was really in contemplation. These modifications were made after I heard that we wouldn't be having an executive assistant starting on July 1st. That substantially just changes everything for the office. So on certain elements, I just softened the language to suggest that they were multi-year goals, or that we were going to begin something. Not a lot of them, but some of them did that. There were 2 goals of substance that you see were very different, and I've learned information since we last talked. So the operating capital budget submission forms. The ClearGov software, we are going back to using that for budgeting, and we had a demo 2 weeks ago, and there's really not a necessity to have separate forms with that software.
Nice.
So that kind of solves that. So begin to use the ClearGov software for the FY27 operating and capital budget. I replaced that language. The other item is relative to tax title. And in the change of the tax title process, I think the original goal was that we get a tax title auction within this fiscal year. With the change to the tax title process, I was not aware that we now need to list the property on the market for 12 months. So that makes this impossible to get an auction in 12 months. So the other thing is that there are these lists that town boards and committees, I've learned, have identified properties that they're interested in. There's a number of boards that have expressed an interest in these properties. And so I think we need to revisit those conversations with the boards and explore that a little bit more, because we're holding on to quite a lot of property that perhaps, I'm going to give a very specific example. It was actually in one of the sets of minutes, I think, that you have later on the night. So 14 Sunset Ave is a property that does abut water, and the Conservation Commission had expressed an interest in it. If you look at that property, there's really no access. It is a property for a small home. The parcel is for a small home. It really, so things like that where the use, well, a board or committee may desire this property, if it really should be returned to the tax rolls, I think that those are the conversations that we need to gauge in, and that ultimately the select board has the decision of what properties we're choosing to retain and which properties we're not. So having come across those lists, I added that here.
Great. Any questions? Are you ready to approve these?
There's still lofty goals. That was really loud. There's still lofty goals. You feel confident even with the revisions?
So the way I look at goals is that, so I think that that's a philosophy question, right? Do I think that this board should expect that 100% of these things are going to be 100% completed by this time next year? I think that's an unrealistic expectation. Things are going to happen. Some things are going to take less time on this list. Some things are going to take more time on this list. But I think that all of these things, you know, we need to get going on them. And so if the goal is to complete something and we've moved the needle 50%, we've moved the needle 50%. If that means to this board that my review meets expectations, that's fine, right? Like, I think that as long as we have an understanding that this is a goal and not a assignment, then I think that it's fair.
And you call some out that they will span multiple
Yes.
years.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Yes.
I do agree it's aggressive, though. But I like it.
Renee will be the one holding my feet to the fire.
No.
All right. Are we ready to approve these?
I am.
All right. Is there a motion to approve FY 2026 town manager goals?
So moved.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. All right, on to the select board goals. Does anyone have anything that they want to modify in our goals?
In goal number 3,
Yep.
and I apologize for missing the June 3rd meeting, but I did review the information there. And in the update from town council about the, our practices and policies about the flag, is that something that we should revisit?
I don't really think we need to revisit it. Well, I guess that's just my opinion. We could potentially consider actually implementing a policy on it. In my opinion, I don't think it rises to the occasion of being a goal, but it is still something that we could do if we would like to.
Yeah, it was just in reading that e-update from, I believe that was our town council, to all their clients. It wasn't to us specifically.
It was KP Law. It's not ours. That's
Oh,
not
okay.
ours.
But it was in the packet.
Yeah, it was in the packet, right. So, so the policy would stand in the place of the board making a decision. So I think that there's a nuance here, that if it's the select board declaring that they would like to fly X flag in recognition of Y, there's no need for a policy because that is protected government speech, that is the government speaking, versus the policy comes into play when you have a request and you're deciding whether or not to approve requests.
Because there was the one aspect of that e-update was that, it said like the holdings from that Shurtleff case, the Boston case, suggests that it is an appropriate time to examine existing practices and policies regarding flag raising to ensure compliance with the First Amendment. And that was back in '22.
Right. Yeah.
So I think at that time, if I can just
Yeah.
comment, that there were policies that spoke to what was flown and what wasn't flown. So I think what KP Law was suggesting there is that if you had a policy, look at it,
Yeah.
right, to make sure it aligns. But
So I guess my question would be, how do we handle it when other people come before us? Do we refer to a policy?
I mean, it's not really something that we've had to deal with before.
under your current model, you would make the determination of whether or not it's government speech.
Right. And how do you feel about that model? Do you think it's an issue? Do you think it needs to be revised?
Or if maybe we got an update specifically from our town council,
We can start there.
that would be fair.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, we can start there. Any other changes that any board members have? Go ahead, Ms.
I do. Just a general comment, some of them, I can all go through some specifics, but I think that some of them, we need to be more specific and include a specific outcome or deliverable and timing. For example, for the FY27 budget, goal number 1, objective 4, this is about looking at digitizing the annual town report and alternative notifications. I think we need to do that in time for special town meeting. If we're going to bring it forward, I'd like, my opinion is I'd like this board to bring it forward for special town meeting if we are, so. this
Okay,
needs to be
so
forward.
you want to, okay,
So
so
add by special
by
town
special
meeting.
town meeting.
And submit, warrant article if appropriate or something.
Okay, so let's see. Consider the feasibility and cost efficiencies of digitizing the annual,
I think evaluate is even stronger than consider,
evaluate I'm fine with that, okay.
but now I'm just wordsmithing.
Yeah, that's okay. Evaluate the feasibility and cost efficiencies of digitizing the annual town report and alternative notifications for the town meeting warrant in advance of the special town meeting?
Yes, and submit warrant article if appropriate.
Okay. In advance of the special town meeting and submit warrant, well, isn't that tied to, isn't there something, wouldn't that require like a bylaw change?
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
think that's what she's saying.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
so that you
bylaw
have-
It has to be,
ready.
it's a
Gotcha.
bylaw change.
Bring the bylaw change.
Okay, I misunderstood your last part. And submit warrant article,
If that's what we decide to do.
if,
I mean, this board has to decide. that's
if
what we want.
appropriate?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
I think also, let's see, still in goal number 1, I missed objective 1. So this is about collaborating, basically the tri-board.
Yep.
To put a time constraint on that, so, wow, why did I write 2026? This is Q3, Q4, 2025.
Okay,
Adding, you know, a time bound for that, to commit to doing that
okay, so we
by
could
the
say-
end of 2025.
Okay, so
right?
we could say at this part, right here, through regularly scheduled, so we could say, through regularly scheduled tri-board meetings, during or throughout.
I think it's, the schedule is through
It-
January.
I mean, it runs into January,
It
but
does, yeah.
Yeah, we could go and do objective 2 for that, too, for a date.
Hold on, let me read objective 2 now. So objective 2 is evaluate the data and information presented at the tri-board meetings in order to develop a select board recommendation to town meeting on the FY27 budget, including but not limited to potential budget cuts, level funding, or Prop 2.5 overrides. Okay. 2, so what we could say is here, we could just change it to annual town meeting. To be a little more specific on that in
but I think,
26.
because this is what we hear every year, right? That it's last minute,
Yeah,
and then we run out of time. So I think we have to commit to having a recommendation a lot earlier.
well, I think we're,
By, I don't know, pick January, February, something.
right.
And I think, I don't remember how the tri-board meetings are broken out.
Yeah,
but
that is pretty much the timeline. Yeah.
It's mid-January for the FY '27 plan discussion, so.
That might be a little aspirational if you wanted to say
I know.
February.
Yeah.
mean,
That's what, well,
yeah.
February, I mean,
Yeah. But February, I don't think you want to be doing it much after February.
no,
Right,
no.
like, that's the,
I
that's the
mean,
outside.
in a perfect world, it'd be before, but,
Right.
okay, let's say, we have to commit, I think we have to draw a line in the sand.
Yeah.
And commit to it.
Well, I think the really important part is that we're having all of these meetings monthly in order to prepare for that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think that's like the key here.
I want, the meetings are good if we don't come away with something concrete,
Yeah,
that's for nothing.
yeah.
So I think, because, you know, I think people in town want, you know, are we serious? And yes, I think we are, and by putting a deadline, I think we're
Okay.
making that known.
Okay, so what I'm going to do here is, so through regularly scheduled tri-board meetings through February 2026. We could even say through July, right? We could add, because we're starting them now, right? July 2025 to February 2026. So that captures the timeline, right? I think that's good. What do you think?
But having a recommendation at the end of those meetings.
Yeah, so well, that's like
That's the
objective 2,
February.
right?
Yeah, yep,
That's
number
objective 2.
Was
So
the last meeting planned for January? What was the
I
last?
think so.
Tentative.
That's
Well-
why I'm saying, I would say, like, we're probably making the determination by February, but the tri-board hopefully is done by January, end of January.
Yeah, but this is select board recommendation,
So the recommendation should
From-
come
us.
when, yeah. I just look at it, it's like, that's more of the tri-board meetings in the first objective, where the decision more is
Right.
the second.
Yes, yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. Evaluate the data information presented at the tri-board meetings in order to develop a select board recommendation to annual town meeting in 2026 on the FY27 budget. So pretty much you're saying you want to capture something in here about having that ready at a certain point.
I feel like that's your February date, your
That's
FY
February.
'27 budget
Yeah,
by February
Yeah.
yeah.
26.
Okay, so which part, where do we want to put that? Let me see. In order to develop its select board recommendation by?
To
Do we
town
really wanna
meeting
Put a deadline there
on the FY '27 budget by February 2026?
at the end of it?
Yep.
Oh, no, including but not. Yes, evaluate, we could even say by, no, it's probably not the right, by February 2026? I mean, how do we feel about that deadline, though? Who knows what's going to happen, right? We might have to pivot, we might have to take.
Again, that's why it's a goal, right?
Yeah.
Again, you can miss it by a month and still,
Right, as long as we're aiming for it, and I think we certainly
you make
are.
significant progress.
Right. Okay.
That's why I wondered too, if the objective 1 should be January instead of February, and then objective 2 hits the
Oh,
February.
well, you're right, because that, actually, that, yes, you're right. It
Keep us
should
on
be.
track.
Yeah, because that's the last meeting. Okay.
And if we go into February in Objective 1, so be it, but
Right.
our goal is to be done by January.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay.
This kind of leads into maybe this question is more relevant to the next point on our agenda, but I was thinking about how we're going to get the information out to the public about these meetings. Not everybody reads minutes, but that led me into who's doing minutes for these meetings. But then could we have some sort of a summary then online that is just like a brief blurb of what happens in these meetings if people don't watch them or don't read all of our minutes? I don't know if that's
Probably not possible.
Given the staffing?
Given the staffing. As far as the minutes are concerned, at least at the beginning, I was contemplating having one of the paid minute takers just take the minutes and then distribute them to the other two boards to modify them as necessary for their posting. So it takes a lot of the work out of it, but
Yeah, we can definitely think about that and talk about it a little more. Because I agree, it's really important to get visibility at the minimum, but,
Yeah.
engagement from the public throughout the process. All right, anything else we want to change on the goals?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, just to that point about the tri-board, and again, I think it jumps to the next agenda
Yeah.
item. But it's just a little concerning in that it's like, seems like a foregone conclusion about the continuity of that tri-board, concept. Watching a lot of meetings, there's clearly a lot of concerns about the viability. I mean, I think everybody universally agrees that there should be a tri-board meeting of everybody to discuss and get on the same page. But I think I share the concerns that everybody seems to have of the viability of such a possibly an unwieldy kind of tri-board setup. So that's the only concern, and I do understand that it is quote just a goal, but I think it's important to recognize the fact that tri-board concept is a big deal to get running, and particularly under the it would be nice if that was already up and running and established to address the type of issues we're going to be addressing. So I just think it's important to acknowledge that there's a lot of trepidation going into this whole process of a tri-board.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. I mean, this is completely experimental, none of us have really done anything like this, and we're going to sort of learn as we go. But I think it's important, at least for us, to do this in good faith and have that open invitation, and who knows what's going to happen, who knows? So, and we'll definitely, we'll probably touch on that in our next discussion.
And just as a reminder to the board, these goals at any time, if the worst case scenario happens and the tri-board just doesn't work, you can modify your goals accordingly, right? So
Right.
you can carry on, you can pick the banner up and keep going with it.
It's supposed to be a living document.
Right, exactly. All right, Ms. Emke, you have more?
Goal number 3, so objectives 2 and 3.
Yep.
About reviewing different policies, do we want to say do we want to commit to creating a new policy?
Yeah, we could definitely add some language for that. So instead of just review the town's, et cetera, policy, we could say review and consider changes.
Review and revise.
Review and revise. Okay, I like that. Review and revise. And then review and revise.
I had a question not a question, but maybe a suggestion for that goal as well. And it's sort of already governed by law, but I'm not sure whether we should have a policy for volunteers requiring them to take open meeting law trainings and ethics trainings. I think they have to do that anyway, but I'm wondering if we should codify that for the town as something that when volunteers come on board, like, these are your expectations.
We could
I don't think we have a policy on that. Or if we would need to?
I think the town clerk already does. Let me check with the town clerk. I think she already has a policy, but.
But I think that because we do have a lot of new people coming on board, or just as a good refresher, I think it would be important that we're making sure that's happening.
Yeah.
So I would love to see a review or an update of that policy if it exists, or creation if it does not exist.
Okay.
If I could just piggyback off that, Mr. Chairman, perhaps if open meeting law and ethics are a concern for the board, perhaps we want to host another, I think I said this before and there's been one, but perhaps we want to host another townwide board, committee, commission forum with town council, that everybody can come. I mean, that could be a goal.
Yeah, we've done that in the past. I just don't
Yeah.
know when the last time we've done it is. I can't remember now.
It would probably be a good idea to offer that pretty regularly,
Yeah.
but I'd like to see that under the boards, the policies and procedures personally.
Okay, because I know we did it 2 years ago. I don't know if we did it last year, if it's an annual thing. I'd be interested in knowing. But we could definitely try to make that, a regular thing.
I think it was recorded, right? Is there a recording somewhere? I feel like I saw
It
one.
probably is, but
With Adam.
it's probably
It
buried
might be
at this
old,
point.
yeah.
Yeah, because I do remember we did that 2 years ago. Okay, no, that's a good though. It's a good thing for us to look into.
The other comment I had, I don't know if this belongs in the goal, but just, I want to mention it so I don't forget later. The goal number 2, the objective 1 about the municipal building design committee,
Yep.
working with them. I would really like to see them present recommended next steps at special town meeting.
Present recommended next
Present
steps
some, present something, where is this going?
Yeah, we are going to meet with them in 2 weeks, and I think we're going to really get into all of that then.
I think there's a lot to work up to before it's presented to the town again.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of work to do, but
Right.
to have all that work done in time for special town meeting, whatever is going to happen, will be discussed then.
How do we feel? Do we want to add something like that in here for a goal?
I feel like that fits with the objective 1 of that goal, too. We're going to work collaboratively with the committee to determine what we want to see.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make them
Something specific.
stronger and
for a
more
special town
measurable
Meeting.
in time, kind of smart-ish, not the full smart.
Yeah,
format,
yeah.
but
Like, how do we know it's achieved?
Not so wishy-washy.
Right. Yeah, no, I hear that. Okay, so let's see. Work collaboratively with the Municipal Building Design Committee to determine how best to address the needs of our municipal buildings post-annual town meeting. And then let's see, comma, including potential
Presentation,
Present-
Articles, presentations.
Yeah.
working towards a presentation at special town meeting.
I feel like maybe we should say post 2025 annual town
Oh,
meeting.
sure, yes, thank you. I'm trying to be more specific with these town meeting references. Okay. Including potential warrant articles or presentations at special town meeting.
I think something that the board could do, that would fall into your wheelhouse potentially, is if the Municipal Building Design Committee didn't have the capacity to have tours, to set that up, that could be something that this board could make sure happens before the next town meeting.
Yeah,
that
I
it's
think
brought
that
up.
would be good to do.
And then you're just owning that piece of it and ensuring that that happens.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so, we might want to just add another objective for that, or
Or
do we
just
want to
add-
add it into here,
Including potential warrant.
or in articles or presentations at those? And organized.
Tours.
Tours of municipal buildings. I
And
like that.
And I just put that S in parentheses.
Buildings.
No,
Or
tour.
oh, okay. Tour, okay, great. Yeah, no, that's a really good one, thank you.
And I don't know if it's possible to envelop, like, the involvement of employees, specifically like the facilities director in the process.
Well, I remember the context that we discussed that in was potentially reviewing the charge and composition.
Composition, I
Yeah,
think we were
that's
gonna
what I meant.
put, we were gonna put him on.
Right.
As a ad hoc,
Right,
right?
yeah, so I still think we should do that. So we captured that here in objective 2. Do you have any others, Ms. Emke?
Nope.
Nope, okay. Does anyone else? Are we ready to approve them?
Well, I still want to add my objective 6 to
Oh.
goal 3. But that's just
Oh, I'm
mine. I don't
sorry.
know how anyone else feels about that one.
Okay, yeah, I'm okay with adding that, especially if we're focusing on like the training. I think that would be really good. Like hosting another training with town council for all.
Yeah, I just don't even know that
elected,
everyone knows that they should be doing these things.
So a policy
Yeah.
on, policy and coupled with the training.
Right, right. I know we do get emails from the town clerk, because I got mine this year. But yeah, we can, let's see, let's wordsmith this. Objective 6. Create a policy regarding the periodic open meeting law and conflict of interest training for elected and appointed members of boards / committees / commissions, and organize regularly held
Organize A.
organize a information session, training session,
A workshop
workshop, okay.
with town council.
With town council, oops, that's not
On
how
the
you
same.
spell that. On the same, okay. All right, how's that?
How does everybody else feel about that? I feel like I just brought it up.
No, I think it's actually really
that's
good. Yeah, I think that's a really good one. Okay, anything else? Ready to approve them? All right, is there a motion to approve the FY26 Select Board goals?
So moved.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, next up, discussion on the tri-board meeting of the Select Board, School Committee, and Finance Committee. So this is just going to be a standing agenda item, just FYI, so we can, come back from the meetings and discuss anything that we want to discuss. We do have drafted ground rules that we can start with and review them. And other than that, we could vote to approve them. I don't know if we necessarily need to, but we could start there, and then if there's any other discussion, we can have it then. Okay, so is everyone looking at the ground rules? So I'll just read through them. Purpose: the tri-board meetings bring together the Select Board, Finance Committee, and School Committee to collaborate in the development of the FY 2027 operating budget and a 3-year financial forecast. These meetings aim to provide transparency, collaboration, mutual understanding, and consensus across these stakeholder public bodies. I'll just pause there. Any discussion on that? Okay. So 1, shared values and commitments. Collaboration over competition. We are one team working toward a common goal, the financial and operational well-being of the town of Lunenburg and its residents. 2, respect for diverse roles and authority. Recognize and respect the distinct statutory and functional roles of each board and committee. 3, commitment to transparency. Be honest and open about fiscal challenges, priorities, and assumptions. Avoid withholding information or surprises. 4, consensus building. While disagreements are expected, all parties commit to seeking common ground and shared solutions. Any discussion on the shared values and commitments?
Mr. Chair, I have a
Yep.
question. Can you give some history on where this came from? Did this come from collaboration of people?
Oh, sorry. So Jen drafted these.
Well, so
But,
we had a meeting with all chairs were invited. Unfortunately, one could not attend. But after that meeting, and with the superintendent and the new superintendent, I want to say this was about a month ago, maybe.
Yeah, just
now?
about. It was, yeah.
And at that meeting, the desire for some set of operating ground rules or principles or guiding policies was established. That there was a desire for that. So I took those and what I knew about the process, and I fed them into my friend ChatGPT, so it does have that ChatGPT feel to it. And then, honestly.
I think you're open and honest about
Oh, yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
It's a great tool.
And then modified them, shared them with the chairs of each of those bodies. There was a couple of tweaks, but there hasn't, I don't think that, you all haven't formally sat down to dig through them. But, yeah, but the chairs of the other two boards have seen them.
Okay. So I would assume potentially next week we'll be discussing the ground rules, if the other boards have thoughts or.
It is on the agenda for next week, if I remember correctly.
So a couple ways to do it. Each board could we could formally adopt these. I think the chairs probably need to meet before next week if possible. One's on vacation, but, we could formally adopt these. This could just be grounding principles. We could adopt them as a group, but what I don't want to have happen is that we spend 3 hours on July 8th going through this.
Yeah, I don't want that either. No. That's why I was asking what the history was, that there's been some other eyes on this and people
Right.
are aware. It's not just the first time.
Right.
Yep.
But I do think it's important. It sets the expectations of how, it's going to operate. So, thank you for putting this together. I do think it's important for us to have and review and, it just sets the tone, right? Or at least it
Tries.
should. Yeah. Okay. So I'll just keep going. We can just keep reading through it. 2, meeting conduct and etiquette. 1, equal voice for all members. Every member from each of the 3 boards has an equal right to speak, ask questions, and contribute ideas. 2, respect time limits. Meetings will follow an agenda and respect time constraints. Comments and questions should be concise and on topic. Each member is limited to 3 minutes per topic for comments and suggestions or comments and questions. Meetings will adjourn no later than 10 p.m.
Hard stop.
Hard stop.
Hard stop.
I know people are going to want lessons.
Yeah, I know.
See, I'm opposite. Not that I don't ever want to be here past 10 PM, but what if we're like in the middle of a really important discussion and we want to go beyond 10 PM?
I guess if we
I turned into a pumpkin.
I also turn into a pumpkin. I am yawning at the end of it. I
know.
This is going to be like the one meeting that we're like super productive and no one else-
Sure.
I mean, I don't know.
I would hope so. You definitely hit the point of diminishing returns especially once you get into hour 3.
I'm not advocating for past 10 PM. I was just-
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I
And
think
we could
if-
always make
yeah.
the call, It's not like we
Game time
forcibly
call.
get removed from the building, so.
Yeah, me too.
All right, 3, one person speaks at a time, no interrupting. Members from all boards should wait to be recognized by the chair of the meeting. 4, active listening. Listen to understand, not just to reply. Avoid side conversations or distractions. 5, participate with those in the room. Avoid conversations and messaging with those not present in the room. 6, assume good intentions. Approach discussions with curiosity, not judgment. All members are presumed to act in the best interest of the town. 7, patience with process. This is a new process for staff members, town leaders, boards and committees, and the public. We will be patient with the process and recognize the process may not be smooth to begin with.
I have no problem with these. I think that this should be how meetings are held anyway. I feel a little bit like I'm being told like I'm an elementary school student.
Yeah.
What I should be doing. But
Well, I think this came out of the concern that Mr. McLeod shared earlier, that I think, we all have. Who knows what's really going to happen when we get 17 people in a room?
Yeah.
So, yes, you're right. It is like kind of patronizing to like read through all of this, but.
Is it going to be hybrid? Is that an option? In person?
No.
Okay.
Because of where we're
rooms.
meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, so.
Where are we meeting? Do we know?
The Lunenburg Adult Activity Center.
at least for the first
For the
one.
first one,
There
yeah.
was a desire to meet at the library, but the room was not available for the first
Yeah.
one. So, but I think that those are going to be the 2 locations.
Which room? At the
so there'll be no remote access if you're not available. Okay.
There's 17 people.
Yep, so we can fit everyone in the room on the right, or really both. It has, a rectangular setup with tables. I don't know if you watched the master plan.
There were a lot of people.
Oh,
in
you're
that
talking
room.
about, I thought you were talking about the library. Okay.
Oh, no.
We couldn't fit. Do you think we can fit 17 people in that room?
In the library?
No,
No,
Or where?
in the where we had the master plans too.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the Council on Aging, they're not 17, but, they have substantial membership, so.
Okay.
But what if, these are open to the public, right?
Yep, public.
What about capacity issues with that room? There's got to be a,
Yeah, I mean, I think if we are seeing that there's like a huge turnout for these, we're going to have to pivot.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there's a lot of this, that like, if X happens,
Yeah,
we're going to have to
something
pivot.
different. Yeah.
that's not a great, it's not
Yeah.
a great location.
There was a desire to not be in this room and to not be in the school committee room, meeting
Yeah.
room. There was a desire from members to have a more neutral-ish location.
Right.
Yeah, certainly none of this.
None of this, none of the dais,
Is
the
challenging,
dais, yeah.
It wouldn't work. Mr. McLeod?
Do we know who the chair is?
It
It's
might
further down.
rotate. It's further down. What do you
Yeah.
mean?
Oh, okay.
I was just going to mention that the library room holds 75, so I think we'll be fine.
The library room, yeah.
Oh, not the room.
It's just not available in the first one,
Yeah.
library, yeah.
Because the room that we did your interview was, you were there.
Yeah, I didn't
Yeah,
fit.
no way, that's
Yeah.
like 5 people.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it would have to be the
Yeah,
room.
yeah.
So I will just note, like, no one's technically going to chair it because it's going to be 3 separately posted meetings, right?
I think
The
we need a moderator.
facilitation will rotate, and that's an option. If we need it, we can do that.
Let's call in Tim.
Yep,
So,
we'll see.
we'll see.
I shouldn't say we need someone to moderate,
Right,
and that's what I mean by chair the meeting,
I know, yep.
so.
Yeah. My concern would be, people going over the
Yes.
3 minutes and somebody's got to call that 3 minutes.
Yep.
We should get one of those big red timers.
Or just the perception of
Yeah.
one board's getting more time than another board or something. I
Just didn't
mean,
work great. I get a sense.
I would love if Tim was available, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, if we really want to explore that, we can.
So there's been soft discussion with
Yeah.
him. If there's a desire of, I think I would want, like, all of the bodies
Yeah.
Yeah.
to be comfortable with that, or at
Yeah.
least all of the chairs to be comfortable with that.
Right.
Yep.
But
have no
if
issue
the
with it at
chairs
all.
have a conversation,
Yeah.
Tim is aware that the meeting is July 8th.
Yeah, so we can get clarification on that and see if it's something that we want to do. But I have no issue with it. It might honestly be a good idea, so.
I think one of the things that when you're chairing a meeting is always difficult is to be engaged in the conversation,
Right, yes.
listening,
Yeah.
and moderating the meeting.
Exactly.
Right?
Like
So
personally,
having a
like,
visual.
I'm going to be honest, I don't want to moderate these meetings. Like I want to go, I want to listen, I want to learn, I want to participate. And if my focus is going to be on,
3 minutes.
exactly, moderating a discussion between 17 people, I'm probably not really going to be able to listen and learn as much. So I think there's benefit in that aspect as well.
Will they be recorded?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Okay. I don't remember where I left off because I scrolled down. Patience with process. I think that's where I left off. Okay. So 3, structure and communication. Agendas and materials in advance. Meeting agendas will be distributed at least 48 hours in advance to allow for review and informed discussion. Staff will endeavor to provide supporting documents 48 hours in advance.
I want to stop on this one. So one of the concerns that I've heard through some of the topics in other boards is staff getting just pummeled with requests and not being able to keep up. So I'm trying, at least with this kind of information flow, to set reasonable expectations that we're gonna try to have everything out 48 hours in advance, but if it might not be possible. And so people need to be accepting that staff in all departments is going to be doing a lot of extra work.
Absolutely.
Do you know how you're going to share the material? And I'll tell you why I bring it up. With the budget task force, I had to get a school, because the superintendent set up a Google Drive using the school's Google. So I had to get a school email so I could access their Google Drive, and that's where we shared all the documents.
So my preference for meeting packets is one zipped PDF that's one packet that gets emailed.
Okay, as long as, we don't have to deal with drives and
Yeah.
school email, because I know they're separate and it can be hard to get common access for everyone,
Yeah, for sure.
so that's fine. That's-
Don't want to deal with that.
I'm good with email.
All right, great. Defined roles in meetings. A neutral facilitator or rotating chair will moderate meetings to ensure balanced participation and agenda progress. We just talked about that. Clear documentation. Accurate meeting minutes or summaries will be prepared and shared with all members to ensure continuity and accountability. Participation by boards and committees. Participation in the tri-board meetings is voluntary. Any public body may choose to withdraw at any point in time. All right. 4, conflict resolution and decision-making. 1, address conflict directly and constructively. Concerns will be raised respectfully during meetings, not via public forums or social media. 2, disagreement is not disrespect. Honest differences of opinion are essential and will be addressed with professionalism. 5, commitment and accountability. Regular attendance and participation. Members commit to attending each tri-board meeting prepared to engage meaningfully. 2, accountability to each other and the community. Members are expected to uphold these ground rules and hold each other respectfully accountable when they are not followed. So we can discuss it a little more. If we want to vote to adopt it tonight, we can.
I have just a comment about attendance.
Sure.
Members commit to attending each tri-board meeting, prepare, I mean, I suppose you're saying to prepare, but like.
Right.
I know next week, I've let you both know there's a chance I might not be able to be there. I was hoping that maybe I could join remotely if I'm not back from my appointment in time. But I don't want to feel like I'm not committed to attending if I unfortunately have an unavoidable conflict.
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
I think you could add something here to say absence, some absences are expected. I mean, I think that,
I don't want it,
like, it's summer.
It is summer, yeah.
I don't want it to feel like if someone can't attend, that
You're
they're
right.
like, that they're,
Right.
you know, saying that they don't respect the tri-board.
Absolutely. I mean, I fully expect that we're not going to have full attendance for every single one of these meetings,
How
and
about
that's okay. We're dealing with 17 people.
Exactly. 17 schedules, we're never going to have.
No.
100%. What about swapping the word commit to endeavor?
I like it.
Yep,
Sure, let's do that.
but you made me think of a question now.
What was
Do
the
we
question?
need to have quorum of each of the three?
Yes.
In
Yes,
order?
we will.
Oh.
To me,
Even for just
so we
a
can
tri-board
meet.
meeting?
Right.
So the meeting will continue, just
Uh-huh.
that board cannot vote. I don't really think that there's going to be a lot of votes here.
Yeah,
No.
I think it's going to be a lot of discussion and really a vote to adjourn. About the only vote. So that body could certainly be there. They'd have to be careful with any discussion that they had, that it could be deliberation. So I think that if you have a board that's there that doesn't have a quorum, those members are just going to have to be really, listening as opposed to speaking.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the negative of not having a quorum, is that you're really
Yeah.
there to listen and maybe ask questions, but you'd have to be careful that you're not discussing a matter under your jurisdiction.
All right, any other discussion on these ground rules?
I would just say, just because the next, or the first meeting is July 8th, I think we should take action tonight.
Yeah, I think so too. It'll probably save us some time, so.
Even if it changes.
Yeah, of course.
we can always vote again.
Yep, for sure. All right, any other discussion on this? All right, is there a motion to approve the ground rules as modified?
So moved.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chairman, I
Yeah.
will send these out to the other chairs and the superintendent, and I will explain that we took this vote tonight, but that we're certainly open to tweaks.
Perfect.
If that's the will of the board.
Great. Any other discussion we want to have on this tonight? Just about the tri-board meetings in general?
Okay, so we're meeting next Tuesday
Mm-hmm.
at the Adult Activity Center. Is there, I think I saw FinCom posting an agenda
Yes.
for that meeting. Is that going to be, or do we have to post our own?
We will have to post our
Okay.
own too. He did a little early because he's on vacation.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, we're going to post it this week.
There's no public comment,
No public comment. So there is no public comment at
okay?
these.
Even though public can attend?
Yep, there's no public comment though.
Okay.
We have to get to, we only have, what is it, 6 meetings or so?
Right.
And 3 hours. This is a tight schedule as is.
We have to make sure that these are informational and as
can
efficient
do
as possible. And obviously, people are more than welcome to come make a public comment here.
Yep.
At Finance Committee, School Committee, so there's definitely still an option for people.
And who will be attending outside of the boards? Town manager?
Superintendent.
Yeah,
And then,
might be meeting dependent as well.
Yes.
SE, and then,
Okay, and any department
and
head?
then, and then it
Whoever's
goes,
on the
from
agenda.
after those 3, it kind of
Okay.
becomes
Okay.
who's available.
Mm-hmm.
Or not who's available, who's on.
Who's on the
Who's
agenda.
on.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, great. Any other discussion? All right, moving on. ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act update.
So I'm going to thank Ms. Emke for this request because it allowed us to see where we are. So in the drive, you have a memo for me that kind of goes over what projects still have remaining balances, and then attached to that is the initial commitments. So just in summary, the town received $3,507,970.58 through the American Rescue Plan Act, also known as ARPA. The board worked fast and furious through December 31st, 2024 to get those funds committed.
We sure did.
And approximately 900,000 of them are unspent. As we kind of go through these, I'm just going to highlight, what's the status of some of them, but if you have questions, just please, if you don't mind, just hopping in. So the Turkey Hill Lions Club, they are on track to spend, but they submit invoices like every month. So I'm just going to make sure that they know the expenditure deadline. Then you're going to see a bunch of the ones like the next one, which is $150 remainder for the Boys and Girls Club project. At the end of 2024, close to the end of 2024, there was some language that came out in federal guidance about the ability to, almost the way we treat our capital program, that if you have an overrun in some areas, you can move it from one project to another. That's, with ARPA, there's only specific triggers that would allow us to move things. So if we have projects that had a commitment that we're short on, we may be able to move some of these little remainder amounts. Otherwise, they may just be gone. So if something, for example, this one, there must have been an estimate at some point that it's $5,600 and there's $150 sitting there. I know.
Can they just buy, tissues, toilet paper?
No, so you can't do that, right? So
Really?
You can't do that, but computers for coding and digital literacy education, if there's something related to that, certainly.
Well, is there also part of the process of if they can't, buy another computer because it's so much money, can they return it and we can
Yes, and that process
different.
expired December 31st, 2024.
Yeah.
So yes, there was, but we are past that point.
So you're saying if there's software, CDs related to
Yeah.
this that maybe are out there,
Yeah.
they could probably
So
purchase
we're going
it.
to see if we can either move them into different projects that they qualify, or if there's some kind of little something that's related. Ambulance, I think there was 2 IV poles, right, that were purchased. So, is there something related to that we've already purchased that we can do? So we'll look.
Tubing or something.
We'll look, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll look at all that. Bright Eyed is another one that is rolling. I am a little more concerned here because of the amount remaining. That's a lot of money that they need to get spent. PAC equipment upgrades, this $4,119 remainder, and we're going to just see what we purchased that can qualify for this. There is $18,500 left, as long as we have all the invoices in for the municipal building design project.
That's the one.
So I don't know how much work they could do with that. It's not none.
I know, but it's 10% of.
Right. So I think that one, we're going to have to put a pin in that
Yeah.
until July 17th and see what the thoughts are. So you have some small remainders here for the fire department ambulance, $1,300, $290, $2,600 for the power stretcher. Turkey Hill fire alarm overrun, this project is, I believe, supposed to start in August. So that should be taken care of. The plow trucks have been purchased by the schools. The invoice just is in processing. I honestly do not know why this $2,500 is still here. So I have to find out why there's still just this small overage for the 6-wheel and 10-wheel dump truck. There is a huge one of that 900,000. So 900,000 sounds like a lot of money still needing to be spent, but here it is. Here's a lot of it. $480,000 are for vehicles, two plow trucks that we ordered back in November. I believe they're on the lot, just getting their final upfit. So
November of 2023.
yes, that's correct. So that is accurate.
Can you remind me what the date is that we have to have this all expended?
December 2020, the end of this year.
This year.
Yeah. So, so I don't have concern about this. And then the sewer manhole covers, we have a contract for that, that's gonna be completed this summer. So there's a large chunk of the money that has not been spent. Tree removal, $28,000 to be done this summer. Cement mixer, and the memorial garden at the library had small, couple $100 remainders. The teen room, I need to talk to Mura about this. I think that if I recall watching some of the old meetings, there was some conversation about with the board here and the trustees that there was plans for what happened if there was a remainder left over in other projects. So, is that sounding familiar?
Yeah.
Let's see, Marshall Park. Okay, so there is $13,266 here. This is every single thing that can be applied against ARPA has been applied. So that is real, that they have that left. So the conversation with the Parks Commission Chair is going to be around what can you use that money for with the vendor to get something that we're going to need anyways, whether this project goes to town meeting this year or next, probably related to the small project.
Can it go to any kind of any regular maintenance
No.
upgrades? at
No,
Marshall
because
Park?
it was,
Like your answer.
I'm so sorry.
Can it go to the skate park?
No. So it could, all of this could have happened
Yeah,
last year.
yeah.
So
But yet it can move to another project that.
potentially, it has like,
That-
there's a lot of, but it can move in between these projects.
Right, I would love to know.
Potentially.
For like a totally different project from another department commission, that seems odd to me.
But it was, the language is like, when I read it, there's a lot of ifs. If this
Yeah.
happens, and if this happens, and if this
Yeah.
happens, you can move the money. It may be that we just can't. All right, Munis consultant and Munis web deployment, these will be spent. I'm not concerned about either of these. You have some little remainders here from Historic Commission, HVAC upgrades and wire shelving, $20 and $30. DPW floors have $411. The roof replacement, here's a bigger one, $7,700 remaining.
That's done? That's,
Yep. And the Conservation Commission local match for a grant they have, that work is still ongoing. Cultural Council, I'm not sure on this one if they're still ongoing, so that I need to follow up with. But I do appreciate you bringing this up because it forced me to do this.
well, I mean, I appreciate, I told, you, Ezzy, everyone on the team
Yeah.
digging through this because I know it was a whirlwind and, it was when we had interim town manager,
Yeah.
so.
And I think one of the best things about this is it forced us to get all our documents all together in one place, and we know that there's going to be a single audit on these, so we're now a little bit more ready for the auditor than we would have been.
But can we do a back of the envelope calculation for how much we think we have remaining? Because
How much we think we have remaining that's real,
that's real,
yeah, back of the envelope?
because I'm thinking it's a pretty big number.
I don't know.
Yep, give me just a second.
Because there's some 4- and 5-digit numbers in here.
Are we assuming that Municipal Building Design is going to use their 18.5?
No,
No, the concern,
Yeah,
the
that's-
concern is where can we spend that?
yeah,
Right.
that's in the remaining balance, I think, right?
Probably.
if you-
I keep asking questions of like, oh, can we use it for this? And the answer seems to be no, so I'm a little concerned that our options are limited.
Well, you can
Right.
use it for the contract that you have. So you can, with Taylor and Burns, you can keep using it for that contract.
You'd have to reach out to Taylor and Burns to do
Yeah.
additional work.
Yeah.
I think the concern is that's not
For that
going to
much
get you
money.
much work.
Not much.
No.
That's the concern, that it doesn't get us much. I think we're really talking about potential of 150,000. That's of all these little drips and 7,000 here.
It's worse than I thought. But do you know, I don't know if Brian knows, did you get all the invoices from Taylor and Byrne? Are those closed out?
No, so that's,
Okay,
so
so
we're still
that will come
processing
down.
invoices. Yeah.
That will come down.
Well, I don't know about that one, but we are still just in general processing invoices for this fiscal year. I can't speak to whether municipal building design has submitted all their invoices or not, but there are other ones that invoices are still being processed.
There's some missing from this list.
This is just the ones that have outstanding balances.
Okay, okay,
And then the full list is attached behind.
okay.
Yep.
Okay, so all the older ones that have been
Yeah.
used
Could we
up.
transfer money if there's anything applicable to ones that don't have balances?
Yeah, so that's what I need to figure out. So, there's a few things in addition to kind of that contingency works that I need to go over with town council and just get sorted, to see how we take care of that.
If it's 6 digits,
It would be, I mean, if we could just say, so if the language is such that we could say, just for example, we put this under contract, this being the municipal building design project, with an intent to bring it to town meeting. We did not expect that town meeting was going to reject this. And now, right, we are facing changed circumstances, so we would like to take this other money, these remainder funds, and apply them. That would be a really nice way to do that, right? And so that's what I need to figure out, if we've got enough of a trigger to do the redesign.
that's the first question. The next question is, what do we do with it? And then do we have the time to do what we want to do? Because it has to be done by the end of this year.
Correct.
We are 5 months from the end of the year. I don't know what our contract is with Taylor and Byrne, if it's, we have to go out to bid, the whole process again?
If it's a change order, it depends on what their scope is.
Or even if that's where we want to spend the money?
It depends on what their scope's gonna be, and what they, I don't know, I have not had any conversations with Taylor and Burns, and I wouldn't do that until we hear from.
Oh, no, yeah,
right,
no,
Municipal buildings then, so.
But it's sounding like if we have money to spend, our options are things that are on this list.
Yes. Yes.
That pretty
That is,
ties it.
this list or the other list?
The full list.
The full list.
The full list.
That already spent what they were allocated, that zeroed out whatever they were given,
Potentially.
right?
Yep. And that, I mean, I read that language a couple times, and I need to ask somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, well, thank
we
you,
get
but
the
this,
answer we
this
want.
is, yeah, something we need to stay on top of.
Yep, for sure. Thank
mean-
you for doing all this.
Well, and thanks to Ezzy and Julie,
Ezekiel and
because
Julie, okay.
I'm sure that they were not, I was not their favorite person over the past couple weeks getting this
Oh.
together.
No, it's important
So,
though.
but
We
it
need
is,
to
yeah.
make sure we figure all it out, so thank you. Okay. Moving on, discussion on sick leave bank policy. You're still waiting for some feedback, right?
Yeah, actually, I've gotten the feedback,
Okay.
I have not been able to, with everything else, get this
Oh,
back on.
that's okay. We'll
Yeah.
pick it up.
What else?
I know,
All right, so we'll pick this up in a couple weeks.
maybe more than that.
No worries.
Although it is gonna be part of my ice cream
Oh.
social, I'm forcing you to engage with me about things. You want ice cream, you must answer questions.
Perfect. All right, tax investigation report, I don't have it. We are going to invite the principal assessor here in 2 weeks, right, on the 15th? Is that right?
Is it 15th or 17th?
15th.
15th.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So that would be a good opportunity to have the finalized report for us to review, but tonight we don't have it. 56 Carr Ave, seller hold. So 2 parts, right? There's the appraisal, and then we need to finally schedule that site walk as well. Any update on the appraisal?
No.
Okay. So do we want to go ahead and schedule that, or do we want to wait until after the appraisal? Does it really matter?
It doesn't matter. I think
Yeah.
you should go ahead and schedule the site walk, because
Okay.
it needs to be, well, unless you don't speak, it needs to be a posted meeting and all that. Yeah.
Right. Okay, so I would assume that maybe like a weekend would be best for something like this, or no?
Typically.
Yeah. Maybe like a Saturday?
Saturday, July 5th? No.
No?
Saturdays are really tough.
Really tough? Okay.
Yeah. It's not gonna rain.
Ooh, I don't know.
Well, maybe
Pick a nice rainy day.
If we did it during the week, then it's probably going to be even tougher, right? Like, I would say Friday, but I don't know if that would work,
I
right?
can't do weekdays.
I'm more free during the summer.
Yeah.
What about if you did it early evening while the light is still?
Yeah, especially
Yeah,
this time of
sunset
year.
Yeah.
really doesn't go till like
It's
8.
dark till 9.
Right. Okay, we could do that during the evening. What?
Are you interested in seeing this property?
I'm gonna get eaten by mosquitoes is what I'm thinking.
Oh,
Yeah.
Friday,
Friday, July
I
4th.
can't do before
No.
5. No, no.
This
a
Friday, the 4th?
Generally.
you can't do Fridays generally?
No, Fridays generally not before 5 o'clock, though.
Not before 5. Well, yeah, we'd probably have to do it after.
Same
Would
thing
we
with
want to
Mondays,
do
generally.
like Friday at 6 or something like that to aim for?
I think
I don't know if
we
we
do Mondays.
really want to do this on a Friday night.
I can normally
Monday
do a
the
Monday
7th?
at 6.
Monday at 6? How's that? How's Monday?
Monday
at
the
6?
7th.
Oh, this Monday?
Oh, I cannot do, I'm in,
Yeah, no. How about the 14th?
14th.
Hold on a minute.
That would work.
I can do the 14th.
The 14th? Okay. So July 14th.
We're still looking.
Yep.
At 6. Yeah, I'll meet you there.
Okay.
With bug spray and,
sarcasm?
Yeah, you'll be okay.
No,
Mr.
I
McLeod,
might be a little late, but
does that work for you?
Yep.
Okay.
14th, 6 p.m.
All right.
Works.
July 14th at 6
I'll
p.m.
write it down.
Could we do it before our meeting on the 15th? If we're going to do it at 6 PM instead of having to come in 2 days in a row?
We could do that, because then we could just post it as one meeting. Well, no, that might be.
2 meetings, but that's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Most are two,
yeah.
two,
Well, if
two
you guys
different
can do
meetings.
6 on a Tuesday.
You can look.
If not, Monday's fine. Sounds
Yeah.
like we can do it. I'm just thinking instead
The
of having to
15th, I
do.
cannot.
Okay. All right, so we'll stick with Monday, July 14th at 6 p.m. Okay. Minutes. We have 2 sets of minutes. December 3rd, 2024, December 10th, 2024. Have members had an opportunity to review them?
Yes.
Yes.
Any changes?
I had one change and I
Okay.
fixed it.
And you did? All
It
right.
was just a spelling
I'll
thing.
Any-
abstain again.
You don't have to abstain.
Yeah, but I feel more comfortable.
It's your decision.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. Any other changes here?
No, but I did like the attachments in one of the sets of minutes. I thought that was nice.
Yeah.
All right. I will move to approve the minutes for December 3rd, 2024 and December 10th, 2024.
Second.
Any additional discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The motion passes unanimously.
No, you had.
Oh, my bad. Any abstentions?
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes 401. Sorry. Warrants. We don't have any warrants tonight. Action items. Are there any action items?
I have a question, not an action item, but you made me think of it when you mentioned the principal assessor will be presenting. When are the tax bills? They have to be mailed soon, right? The Q1, Q2 for, because they're due August? Is that not, wait, is it August? When is the next? It's June, September, they're due September.
September, yeah.
So they were just due June 1st, right?
Need to go on. Let me see if it's on the website. If I can get to the right department. Okay. Preliminaries just got mailed out.
Okay, that's what. yep,
Okay.
Okay.
And I do remember that they did. So that actually did happen.
Okay.
And
Because it's
so-
been really quiet, I was like, I should be getting a bill soon.
Yeah, they got mailed.
Okay, good.
They should be arriving from Kelly and Ryan for you in your mailbox. August 1st, due date.
It is August 1st.
Yeah. And then the second
Wow.
one is November 1st.
We don't have much time. It's July. Okay. And then I guess a request to just let us know when sewer mails out their next, since the migration to the cloud, how the next billing cycle goes.
Yeah, so far, there have not been, I know there was some comment made at the last meeting.
Yeah.
There hasn't been Munis-related issues with the new system in the sewer bills so
They
far.
haven't mailed since the migration, right? A
think
bill
they-
hasn't gone out? Or,
No, you're right, there's, right,
so the next,
the next one. But to that other comment
Yeah.
that was made, yeah, there's not a Munis issue with the
yeah,
bills. But, yes, I will let you know when the next
Yeah.
sewer bill goes out.
Thank you.
thanks.
Any other action items? Committee reports. Mr. McLeod, do you have one?
Just the planning board, but I think he covered everything pertinent there. I still need some guidance with the MART, is it
Yes.
MART and MMPO are the two?
Sorry, that's my fault. I'll do it before I leave the building tonight. But you're not missing any meetings, so don't worry. Is that it?
Yep.
The Board of Assessors met June 11th. I was not able to attend or watch. I was away, and I haven't watched the YouTube yet, but I will. They are also meeting on July 16th is their next meeting. The school committee met on June 18th. Dr. Burnham, it was her last meeting. She retired after 38 years of teaching and education. They talked about the transportation forms were already due for busing. The offices to Turkey Hill moved on the June 26th, or they were planning to. They're planning to contract services for the finance position for now. It's going to be the same firm, but a different person as their last time they had contracted services. And it's temporary, and Dr. Fortuna, the new superintendent, will be hiring after July 4th. They're trying to make the preschool more flexible. They talked about the field trips to DC and Nature's Classroom being important for students to attend, trying to make it affordable. They discussed level funding and cuts and level service, trying to maintain services. They talked about the Community Preservation Act and how that could potentially help fund Lunenburg. And they talked about the end-of-the-year assessment data. That was it. That's all I had.
All right, Stormwater Task Force met last Thursday. We had Nick Christofori from CEI, who's our consultant, and has been providing guidance on setting up a stormwater utility, having a tier structure. So we spent a lot of time discussing the tiers and the rate or surcharge schedule. Nick answered a lot of our questions, but then we had some more that needs to get back to us with some data. DPW director was on vacation, so he wasn't able to attend. So the plan is that we would give an update, a presentation to Finance Committee and Select Board in the September-ish timeframe, and a more deeper update at the special town meeting in the fall, with the ultimate goal of bringing forward a formal plan by annual town meeting, but that is a stretch goal. So we'll see how that goes, because there'll be a lot of outreach and education that's necessary for that, too. That's it.
Economic Development Committee hasn't met, but the Master Plan Steering Committee did have a very productive meeting. Both the town manager and the chair were in attendance. We had a reorganization. We did find out that the planning board was able to permanently reduce the quorum to that committee to 5, which is really helpful. We're trying to recruit members from the existing makeup of the committee to have some more involvement, but at least hopefully we won't have the same quorum issues with the meetings that we've been having previously. The vendor was there and did a bit of a presentation, and it seems that we have some more active engagement with the committee members. We all have some homework that we're doing, and we will be meeting regularly as much as we can, as close as we can to the schedule of the second and fourth Wednesday of every month to try to get this master plan done.
Great. And I don't have a committee report tonight. All right, upcoming meetings. We are meeting next Tuesday, July 8th, and that is our first tri-board meeting of the Select Board, School Committee, and Finance Committee.
I'm going to just chime in. I think I said it earlier, but there's a good chance I won't be there, and does not mean I'm not committed to this process. I have a medical appointment that I am going to try my best to be back from Boston, but I might not be there.
We understand. It's all right.
We might still be talking right up until 10 p.m.
No, don't do that. And then a regularly scheduled Select Board meeting the following Tuesday, July 15th, 2025. Public comment. Any public comment from the public? Mr. Bowen.
Hi, everyone. John Bowen, 162 Highland Street. I just wanted to make some comments with regard to your condition of your North Cemetery. Your North Cemetery has a number of different shrubs and bushes that kind of like run along the line of Holman Street that need to be tied back. That's an expensive cost. There's another expensive cost of replacing the ones that have been damaged by the ice storm 3.5 years ago that the town manager came out and actually viewed, because I saw her at the cemetery, because I live across the street. However, it doesn't seem to be on the agenda of any of your cemetery commission. Now, as you're all aware, I did run for cemetery commission this year. I did not get elected because the town decided that I was not the suitable candidate to be able to be a commissioner on the cemetery commission. But after reviewing the last cemetery commission meeting, I see it's more of the same. This is a problem that we have here in this community, okay, of having more of the same. And I just wanted to make it clear that unless you're going to fix the existing problems, stop talking about the future problems. The existing problems that you have over there on the aesthetics on the outside of that cemetery are a result of the failure of this town to have the money to do so. I made a proposal to this community, of which the Select Board, before it changed its hands with Mr. Layton and Mr. McLeod, that a cemetery corporation would better benefit the cemetery because there were avenues for which to generate money. If money is a problem, which obviously clearly listening to tonight's meeting, Ms. Warren, that there are money problems. And in order to correct those money problems, we have to think outside the box. I gave you outside the box. You haven't talked about it. Your cemetery commission has not talked about it. You're following along more of the same, you're going to get more of the same. If you want to do something, you have to step forward, you have to take risks, you have to take, a little bit of a chance, okay, to be able to step outside the box, because what you've been doing inside the box and what has been, and I'm going to say this, quote, customary, okay, hasn't been working for you. So what we have to do is we have to make changes. And if that's uncomfortable for people, then it's uncomfortable for people. But I'm going to tell you this right now. After watching the last cemetery commission meeting, I'm appalled, okay, that they're still talking and complaining and not doing. And I hope that this board will do something with regard to the failure to take care of our cemeteries in this town. And it has nothing to do with the employees. It has everything to do with your commission. And that is the platform that I ran on. And I'm going to tell you right now, you're still
All right, thank you, Mr. Bowen, for your public
And I
comment.
thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Have a good night. And I see no other public. Any public comment from the town manager?
No.
Any public comment from the board?
No?
None.
Okay. Well, we will see you all next Tuesday for our first scheduled tri-board meeting. I move to enter into executive session and not re-enter open session after exiting executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30, Section 21A2, to conduct contract negotiations with non-union personnel. And this is for the town manager.
You can do both motions together if you
I
want.
can?
Yeah,
Okay.
and two also.
And I also move to enter into executive session and not re-enter open session after exiting executive session pursuant to MGL Chapter 30, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body and the chair so declares. And this is for the New England Police Benevolent Association, Local 353.
Second.
Any additional discussion? This will be a roll call vote. Mr. McLeod?
Aye.
Mr. Leighton?
Aye.
Ms. Emke?
Aye.
Ms. Moore?
Aye.
And an aye for myself. We are now in executive session. Good night, everyone.